Good morning. I'm always delighted to be at this particular event because it gets the best in our business, whichever industry, whichever domain we are from. I'm very honored to meet you, esteemed panelists, on a very interesting topic. How does talent acquisition transform to meet our changing needs? Let me take a step back. I truly believe that the pandemic changed the entire talent landscape. What we were, and I can talk from personal example, I think 5 days before the pandemic hit us, if anybody said 90% of my organization would be working from home, I would never have believed it. And I don't think even our business leaders would have believed it because we were never prepared for it. Within 5 days, the nation was in lockdown. All of us had to move our teams back to home. We didn't have the technology. The rules of engagement, we didn't have any idea. We didn't have any idea of any policies, any statutory compliances, anything about work from home. But our commitment as the HR fraternity was that we will not let our business down. We will not let, whether it is our clients, whether it is our employees internally, feel any of the negative impacts of this pandemic. I think the first team in the HR fraternity which had to transform was the talent acquisition team, right? It changed the way we did business and talent acquisition entirely. So, and post-pandemic, I think the talent landscape again has changed and it'll never be the same again. Both talent acquisition leaders as well as HR lead, when I say HR, I'm talking about the HRBP leaders, we face such a challenge today to get good talent, quality talent, and the cost, and business will always say cost arbitrage, right? And today, any talent that we even look at, the kind of costs that are impacting us is tremendous. So I just wanted to spend a little time with each of you esteemed leaders as to how you have looked at your acquisition needs. What do you think is the future? And how do you think our industry, especially the HR fraternity, will have to adjust, accommodate, and enable business success, right? So let me start with Veena. Do you have all mics? Yeah. So I have a very simple question. We'll start simple, and then obviously we'll get into a little more complex questions. Very, very simple. So what did your industry or your business see changes as we transform from pre-COVID to post-COVID? And you as the talent acquisition leader or the HR leader, what were some of the internal adjustments that you had to make to ensure that we continue to deliver to business?
Thank you, Aparna. I hope I'm audible. So I come from altogether different industry, not from the tech, not from IT or non-IT. I am from a renewable energy company called Access Energy, which actually comes under emergency services. So during COVID, there was no stop for us. We don't have a work from home facility. Okay, there was no flexible working hours. Our people had to be on field. Okay, so it was an extra effort that HR had to put, not just in acquiring the talent or bringing them on field. It is also ensuring they stay safe. So that was very important. So most important thing that comes there is personalization. So very important, personalization. We used to be in touch with people, engage with them. So it just doesn't end with just giving an offer. You know, you have to be in touch with the candidate and make them feel comfortable that you are safe. So that was the change during the pandemic, because they had to literally work with the people who probably were also affected with COVID, or a lot of groups. So and sometimes probably we had to, to motivate them, the leaders had to be with them. So that was a change that we brought in. And the next thing is we were in touch with the family. Earlier, it was part of talent management, where we used to connect with the families. But it starts off with talent acquisition, with the change of dynamics, where we used to get in touch once we release the offer. Probably, if it is a youngster, probably a Gen Z or a millennial, we've issued the offer, we used to speak to the parents and say, congratulations, your son was the one we selected among 100 people. Okay, so they used to feel very happy. This also made sure that, the parents said, don't look at the other offer. So that helped us that way. So yeah, thanks.
That's a lovely answer. And I genuinely think in today, though we talk about leveraging on technology, we must leverage on technology. But from an HR standpoint, that personal touch definitely creates that differentiation between just doing great work and doing absolutely stunning work. Thank you, Veena, for that wonderful response, and all the best in your continued journey. Let me just go to Leeta. What do you think are the skills and competencies that will be gaining importance for the future? And how do we, as talent acquisition or HR leaders, upskill our own teams to ensure that they are able to select the right candidates for future needs?
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here, and thank you, Aparna, for the question. So just to give you an idea, I belong to the software industry. I work with Amadeus. We are the pioneers in the global distribution platform, and we are the leaders in travel technology. So our problems are quite unique in the sense that we are pioneering a lot of areas in our industry. For example, we are one of the first in our industry to go into the cloud migration, and we don't have any predecessors in our industry type with the vastness of how travel can be to understand and assess what we can expect, what risks to look forward to, everything we have to build. So obviously, as talent acquisition partners, there is a lot of ambiguity in our roles because number one, it is true that travel has not yet reached full recovery as it was in 2019. We are still not yet there in terms of, though we are at the fag end, almost reaching the fag end of 2023, we might be at approximately 75 to 80% recovery. So there is a business, angle, which is we're not sure of how the markets are going to respond. Is there going to be a slowdown? But at the same time, we're an organization that has consistently grown. This year, we're already clocking 20% growth. Okay, so one of the main things that has enabled us to do this is the approach of becoming not just a paper pusher, but a talent advisor to the business. So it is true that in a global setup like ours across Asia Pacific and India, which is the highest growing markets for us, there are tons of positions that people want to open up. Some are very ambitious, some are practical, and some we really don't know whether it's the truth in the industry or not. So it's up to the talent consulting partners to have that market point of view, and most importantly, to also have the business point of view. So understanding the business context, being very close to the business, understanding how we can partner as a business partner. I know that every organization has the role of the HR business partner. Today, I also see that the talent acquisition teams playing the role of a business partner from a talent advisor point of view. So that mindset to not just look at resumes, just source them, just push maybe 50, 60 resumes to businesses for conversion, but to maybe give them the quality that they require by understanding context. I think that is one of the first things that we need to kind of transform in the way talent acquisition has been operating. The other part is something that I think comes from my experience in rewards. I have been a rewards professional and then moved into the talent acquisition area, is I for details and I for analytics. I think that makes the difference for talent acquisition team members. It does not come naturally to talent acquisition professionals, because most of the time we are engaged completely in, okay, speaking to candidates, converting them, enticing interest in the organization. The analytics is often missed out. And we have seen that creating the analytics, predictive forecasting of how much time it takes to hire positions, predictive forecasting of saying, okay, I had this kind of a trend during peak periods in terms of skills, in terms of technologies, this, and going back to the business to give them a plan based on what we see, makes us more convincing with the business, and they will buy our story. So I think analytics and becoming an equally concrete business partner, not just from an HR business partner, but a talent acquisition business partner, makes a big difference for talent acquisition.
You're absolutely bang on, and I think you bring out such valuable points. A lot of the times, especially HR, I'm not talking about talent acquisition, they say, what is the need to know business as long as you know the HR domain? I completely disagree with that. HR professionals need to know business to be able to give proper, right solutions to business, right? And analytics, yes, and predictive analytics is, I think, the way forward. There is nothing more comforting to the business leaders than to know what's there to come ahead, right? Even if it's bad news. They are prepared, so they're prepared for the bad news, right? So that's great. I think if your organization and your team is gearing up or geared up, I think you're well on your way to being very, very successful, or continued strengthening your success of the organization. Thank you so much. Priyanka, very, very quickly. So in terms of the assessment tools, or any other methodologies, do you think they have changed from a talent acquisition standpoint when you are looking at candidates, or whether it is your sourcing, whether it's shortlisting? So is there something you've done differently from the entire assessment standpoint in your organization?
Yeah. So once again, a hearty good morning, and thank you, Aparna, for this question. I've traveled from Mumbai, and I head HR in Bonus Engineers Private Limited. We are a staffing solutions company and handle certain projects as well. So we have our niche clients in the oil and gas sector and a few in FMCG. And when you talk about assessment tools per se, for hiring candidates, we have used certain methods besides the classic HR options of aptitude tests, be it email writing tests, personality tests, certain culture fit tests, It's very important to understand the individual and wholesome. How professor in the previous panel discussion mentioned about the personality. When we are hiring a talent, it's just not that skill we are hiring. We are actually acquiring a physical body with an emotional body, with a mental body and a spiritual body. So when we are hiring a complete package, making an attempt to acquire a complete package, it's a challenge. So these tests will not suffice. We have also ventured into graphology, handwriting analysis to understand a little more about the characteristics of the person, not completely depending upon the graphology aspects, but using the tool of graphology to support our assessments. Further, in interviews, personal interviews, we try and strive for partnering with the hiring managers. I think this is very important, and when we partner, it's a collaboration between HR and the hiring partner, hiring manager. So the hiring becomes a seamless process, and the assessments are done in a better way. Does that?
Interesting. I don't know how many of you had heard of graphology, and if you've done it in your organizations, that's fantastic. I'm actually hearing about it for the first time.
Okay.
And how has that worked for you?
So there are certain characteristics in an individual which you find it very difficult to assess even in an interview. You might have behavior-based interviews, a lot of other aspects which may not come as to who you are. See, who am I is more important than what I do or what I have. What I do or what I have is there on the CV, right?
Right.
But who am I is very difficult to understand. So gauging the personality through certain aspects, whether the person is going to be loyal, by any chance, is there a possibility of backstabbing? There are certain characteristics which can be analyzed through graphology. It's a very well-defined science. However, we don't completely depend on it.
Of course,
I
of
don't
course.
use just in silos. It is combined with all other tests and to take a final decision.
That's
It's
great.
come very handy and very helpful. So what we started with is first analyzing the handwriting samples of my internal team to know whether the science works or not, you know.
Right.
So because if I'm going to analyze handwriting samples of candidates whom I don't know, I was not very confident. So we first started analyzing, and this again stepped up during COVID. So that helped us immensely.
So it helps in engagement as well as retention and
Absolutely.
better success
Absolutely.
for the role.
Better success. So there are graphotherapies which can be used.
Oh.
You can suggest different, I have worked upon it on my own handwriting, you know. Certain aspects which I wanted to improvise on my own self, I have tried working upon with graphotherapy, and it has helped me improvise. It does take time. Every
Of
learning,
course.
every process takes its own time. So I have used, and some of my leads have imbibed it. The leadership team, they have taken interest and they have changed their writing certain characteristics, certain letters which could help them perform better.
Really interesting. I'm not certain if any of you had heard of this, but that's the beauty of these kind of forums, right? We get to hear so many new things and so many things that maybe, you know, which are tried and tested, we can just plug and play. So thank you so much for it. Just a few other questions, and then we'll open it up to the audience if they have any questions for us. This is for any of you. How do you think the employee value proposition is going to change for the future, for us to be more attractive, for us to be able to select the best candidate? What are some of the key things that you think would change? Because you normally have an employee value proposition which talks about, most companies have the same things, but what is going to be the key differentiator for your organizations, which maybe if you can share with us, any of you?
Probably let me take this first. So EVP or employer value proposition has been a KRA of our HR team. Okay, in fact, we probably are the first brand ambassadors about the company to the outside world, with a company like ours into renewable energy space, where it is not much known also. It is the HR who spreads the name, who spreads the value. Okay, so what we do basically is we engage ourselves, especially I think many of them, all of them in fact, okay, are very engaged to their social media platforms. So for professionals, it is LinkedIn. So we make sure all of our employees are on LinkedIn, and we give them time, office time, during office time, where they can use it and promote our whatever our posts on the LinkedIn or on the social media. Okay, so because employees again are our ambassadors to spread word about a company. Okay, we make sure a culture is presented there so that it becomes a easy thing for the HR to even, you know, attract the candidates. And I think the next thing that we also do is the campus drives, campus connects that we build upon. So it is just not going for a campus drive, a pre-placement campus drive. We connect them with them much before that. We engage in leadership talks. We engage in a lot of technical forums where they know and they also learn a lot of things. I think my example, let me tell you, I come from Hyderabad, which is a IT hub. And when we look at core engineers, right, everybody, so even if they've joined a civil, mechanical or electrical, they only speak about IT. I think from SEM 1, they only speak about IT, Python, SQL, whatever languages, which we don't want actually. Probably. So this is where our senior leadership team engages with them, trains them on the technical, because somebody interested in the core job has to have that passion towards that core job. So somewhere I think putting them on the right direction also has become something very important, where now people recognize our company, our industry. And that's where I think we are able to also pull some right candidates from the beginning.
I'll just add to that. So I think EVP, every organization has like a host of EVPs. The advantage that, or the idea that we apply at Amadeus is, very related to the world we live in, which is customization. So we correlate the EVP to the audience that we want to target. For example, over years of being present in campus, we have realized that there are three topics that resonate a lot with campus students. D&I, it's a big thing in the campus today. I mean, the young generation that's coming into the workforce is very active to understand what is the organization's stand on diversity and inclusion. So D&I is a topic we will choose to resonate with them. The other topic that they're very interested about is sustainability, especially in the industry that I operate in, travel. It could be an oxymoron. How can travel and sustainability go along? And Amadeus has been an organization who has repeatedly been in the sustainability index, top sustainability index as an organization. So sustainability is a topic that resonates with them. And lastly, creating a holistic learning experience. Okay, so we bring this value proposition to the campus students. Whereas if I am targeting my commercial and sales folks from the industry, I will talk more about flexibility, the work environment, being an ethical organization. So basically the stand that we take is we have about 8 employee value propositions. It's not to put just everything out there. We correlate to the EVP, to the audience we target, and we have seen that it works very well for us. The grassroots level, we've heard fabulous feedback on us being able to correlate to these topics. And for example, if I'm going after principal engineers, architects, they are more interested to understand how are you changing the world of technology, how are you changing the future of travel. So that becomes the topics that we choose with them. So I think it's also a little bit about customization, then generosity, and people appreciate that, that customization that we are able to bring in.
Yeah, I think that's true. How we take it and customize it with the audience is important. I'm reminded of a situation that happened a few weeks ago. My eldest son completed his first year of his engineering, computer science, and I was having a discussion with him whether would you want to take up an internship in your vacation. So he said, Ma, it's too early because coding and all will begin in the second year. I will take it up maybe later. But if there is something to do with managerial aspect, I wouldn't mind taking an internship. Because I have, led so many committees in the institution. I have arranged for programs. So my husband, who was overhearing the conversation, was quite amused, and he said, okay, let me look for a CEO internship for you. So this is the Gen Zs, They are fast, undoubtedly with good IQ. They want instant results, instant feedback. So I think EVPs with time will change. They want to be connected to something bigger, always. That's what I have observed in the past hirings in the past few months also. They want to know how the organization is contributing towards sustainability, towards ESG, to net zero. They are interested whether the organization is contributing towards CSR activities. So it's very, very important for them to know how can they contribute back to the society. So our EVPs will be probably more purpose-driven, right?
Absolutely.
Cascading from the top to the bottom. At every level, they will want an experience, the employee experience of contributing back to the society at large.
I'm in complete agreement with you, Priyanka. And this is something that we've observed in our organization too. We involve our new joiners as a part of their training. we involve them in CSR activities.
Awesome.
And it really makes a difference. The stickiness definitely increases the sense of pride, the sense of belonging to the organization. It has a great impact. Wonderful points. I think DEI, ESG, CSR, culture, and promoting the culture through social media, flexibility of work, instant gratification, great learning programs. I think those are all themes that will be a part of the EVP for us in the future if we don't already have it. I've already been given signs that we have extended our discussion. I think the panel will be available at lunchtime. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We'd be happy to interact with you and learn from you, as well as share some of our experiences with you. So thank you so very much for such an insightful discussion. Truly appreciate your time and wish you the very best in your organizations to make HR a huge success. Thank you so much.